in the mud. There's dirt on my hands.
Welcome to Build an Iconic Life podcast. I'm your host, Kris Whitehead, and this podcast is dedicated to help you build a life with zero regrets by focusing on how you have everything you need to stand up, stand out, and live life on your terms. Let's dive right in. Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Becoming Iconic. And I'm here with a really dear friend of mine, Steve Kuclo. I'm going to let him take just a minute to let you know the litany of things that he's done.
Man, Kris, thank you for having me. It's an honor. I love seeing what you're doing. I love, you're iconic. It's that just that word in itself is something I think we all strive to be, like icons, idols for people that are or look up to us, but you want to be influential in the right way. Man, I spent almost 20 years in the fitness industry as a IFBB Professional Bodybuilder, have 5 pro wins under my belt, was a Mr. USA that allowed me to turn pro, was a Shark Tank winner, have many businesses, once a promotions business. I was a partner in an apparel business, and just, try to make myself well-rounded in what I do, and always try to just be the best that I can do. But, I take pride most in the people I do life with and the person I strive to be. And man, just having a little conversation before we started this, kind of just really lifted my spirit. And man, we just got on the right wavelength. So I'm excited to be on here.
Man, I'm excited actually to share with people who you really are, because sometimes, especially, dude, you're an influencer, right?
Sure.
You get thousands and thousands of views and likes every post that you put out there. And people have this idea sometimes that influencers are untouchable. They sometimes have the idea that influencers aren't normal people. But the truth is, bro, when you and I first met, besides you do have a palm, bro. When you shake a hand, it's a big ass hand. But dude, you're one of the nicest human beings I've ever met. You're one of the most gracious people. You never step in front of people. You never act like you earn. Like, I deserve this. Get out of my way. You're very, very helpful. And I know that probably comes from you having some experiences that taught you humility. Would you be willing to share with people the process of you even becoming a fitness person, where that came from, and then why you were willing to dedicate? Because, bro, you've done this on a level that's in the top 0.1% of the world. Yeah. What drives you doing that?
A lot of it started kind of just my very blue collar upbringing. I've played sports growing up, and I loved competition. I loved being like the best on the field or the biggest, fastest, strongest guy. And that kind of led me into the weight room in high school playing football. And I loved like seeing my body change and then get stronger. And it's, it helps your ego a little bit, but like if you keep that under control, like, you're doing it for other reasons too. That kind of was the hook that got me. And it was, that is what led me into kind of a passion, ultimately led into what I was able to do from a hobby into a career, is that passion. I've a lot of what I've done, I can attribute to being all in from the fitness industry, and like you said, being an influencer, you almost seem untouchable at times, or like you're nothing go wrong. And the world of social media we live in right now is very fake. Everything is great, and everybody doesn't have hard times, or nobody go through any, these people live perfect lives, when in reality, they probably live some of the shittiest lives, but it sure looks good on the outside. Right. Because I know some of the most successful people I know are absolutely miserable. It's just because they don't feel complete, or they don't have, they may have a lot of stuff, but at home at night, they don't have the love and a family and everything that it really, really makes somebody whole and happy. And I'm always real. Like, to me, the person you meet me in person, the person you see online, the person you see, it's going to be the same dude. And one of the things I was told really young is like, the same people that you see going up in life are the same people you see coming down, the different levels or whatever it is. So, me being on the cover of a magazine, or me being a champion bodybuilder, top 5 in the world, like, it doesn't change who I am as a person, and that's always something I've tried to hold really true to myself, and not let any of that change me or fame or being something. And yeah, it gives you confidence but you don't let that confidence turn you into an asshole ultimately.
Well, and one of the things that keeps like ringing in my head when you say that, and I wonder if you have any words to attribute to it, but dude, I hear core values just popping out of you as you're talking. Are you really solid on like, hey, this word defines me? Do you have a few core values that you would share with people?
I do, and it's something like it's something I talk. I tell my wife all the time, and it's like honor. Like I love honoring her as my wife. I think if you show somebody honor, that's some of the highest levels of respect. And it's kind of like honor, respect, value is kind of like that circle of kind of the same. But I always tell her, babe, I value everything you do for me. And I honor you as my wife, and I absolutely, that's one of them. I think gratitude, always being grateful for what I have. Not wishing I had more necessarily. Like, okay, I'm going to work hard, and as doors open, as the alignments happen, as God opens the right doors for me, like that will lead to things. But I'm not going to make my worth necessarily what I have in life, but it's going to be, what I can do in life to make the right impact.
What, one of the things, if I were a younger person, whether it's in business or just life, man, I know because we have 20-year-old kids right now. We also have an 18-year-old. So we have two 20-year-old twins and an 18-year-old. So yay. But one of the things that I see is there's definitely at this age group, like they want to go forward, but they're also like, whoa, there's real consequences to this stuff. And so insecurities hit. What can you look back on over the last 15, 20 years of your life when you hit? Because I know every time you hit a new level, there's a new devil, man.
Yeah, absolutely.
What have you done to keep you encouraged? So everybody says gratitude, but they seem to love to practice it when everything's going right.
Yeah.
What have you done when things were not going your way that you see as like key points that you would teach one of your children when they're not finding the results they want?
It's really good. I would say it's not having regrets in what I do and always giving it my all. Like if I don't win a show, like and at the end of the day, everybody's like, man, you got screwed, or you should have been better, or I don't want to be there and be like, well, I could have trained harder, I could have done more cardio, I could have dieted harder, or it's kind of like that. And if I know I've crossed all my T's, dotted all my I's, and did everything I had to do to bring the best I could bring, ultimately, because that's what bodybuilding teaches you. It's kind of on you at the end of the day. You have to pick up the fork and eat the food. You have to lift up the weights and get up when you're tired and do the cardio and be hungry and, all that kind of stuff. That teaches you a lot of discipline and teaches you a lot about yourself. And if you're able to really work through that adversity, there's going to be good results at the end of the day.
So you mentioned this thing about honoring your wife. Mm-hmm. How long y'all been married?
Very recent, August we got married. So
some people listening to this are probably newly married as well. And I know you've had experience dating, you're older like me. Sure. I see a couple gray hairs in there. Not quite as
some gray in there. My wife likes it. There's some gray
just in there. Just a little bit.
Pepper.
But through the process of finding ultimately the person that you're supposed to be with, what is it that you learned mostly about you through dating all these relationships that you're truly bringing into this relationship so that it can become successful, so that it can be the marriage that lasts for you?
I'd say probably the number one thing is being open, honest, and direct with everything that we do, and being able to have the hard conversations. Before, I think in my life, I was always protective, or like, man, I don't want to say anything because I don't want to ruffle any feathers, or I don't want to maybe make them upset, or that kind of stuff. But and part of my career, I spent 10 years as a firefighter paramedic in the city of Dallas, and that was one of the most amazing careers I could have had to really teach me being a servant and working hard and what hard work is. But at the same time, like through that, there was also the downside of it making me very jaded and very cold to things, and pushing emotion down, and not having like, if I was sad or angry, like I wouldn't show it. I would just kind of like, I'll brush it under the rug. But eventually that like little bit turned into a whole lot, and it would just kind of explode, you know. And learning how to, if something it makes me feel a certain way, like it's okay to feel. That's one thing. Like it's okay for me to feel. It's okay for my wife to feel. Like I'm a rescuer, kind of like, okay, something's wrong, let me fix it. Like now I'm like, okay, if you feel a certain way, that's okay. But it's okay to feel a certain way, but it's not okay to stay a certain way, you know, stay angry. Yeah. Like there's a difference there. But being open, honest, and direct with everything, you know, and that has really, it's something I've really worked on myself. It's not just like something that comes naturally to me. So it's, you know, being direct with things. Hey, what you said kind of hurt my feelings, or, you know, or if I came off abrasive on something, hey, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to seem like I was being aggressive or angry at that. You know, I'm just trying to talk to you and explain and kind of have a carefrontation instead of a confrontation.
I love that. So for me, man, you know, and I'm not as physically strong as you, but I'm kind of a big dude compared to Robin. Like, you know, I'm 6'2", 220 pounds. She's 5'3" and 109. Yeah. And what doesn't seem aggressive to me is like 10x to her. Right. And one of the things that I had to learn is speaking to everything you're talking about. Like, bro, if I'm trying to be the man and I keep stuffing that pipe closed and quiet, when that shit comes out, I think it's a burp. She thinks I've just like cut the car in half. You know what I mean? And so I end up having to go repair what I didn't even know I just felt because I've been stuffing it so long. And I think that what I'm hearing is that has to be matched with a partner who's willing to accept direct communication, who's willing to work on themselves, as well as, you know, a lot of wives love to point the finger. A lot of husbands like to avoid by bad behavior. But the truth is two people have to come together and be willing. They have to be willing to have those hard conversations, like you said. And I found that not only important with a woman, especially that I want to be married to, but bro, even as us as friends, you know, if I got something that has upset me with you, like I'm going to come to you and have that conversation. I'm not going to go behind your back and talk about you to other people. And it's not that people are bad for doing it. I just want to help them understand that never works out usually in their favor. And what I'm hearing from you is the past experiences that you've had, like being an EMT, being in the services on the fire department. Like my brother-in-law also does the same thing. And he's told me some of the things they see. Bro, I'm not, my constitution, I'm not made, like I'll do it if I have to, but that's not my back. It turns you off, but you have to learn that. And what I'm hearing you say, you have to learn how not to allow that to be something that keeps you from being 100% of who you are, because in a traumatic situation, the Steve Kuclo can't be the same one in a traumatic situation with your significant other, because you'll end up losing it.
Right.
And it also goes back again, I hear it, the core values. Like Michelle has the same core values as you, correct?
Yeah.
You probably investigated that, didn't you? You just didn't allow the emotions to take over with everything, I'm sure. Yeah. And I want to help younger people, and I think you do too. One of the reasons that I believe that you're iconic is because you didn't let celebrity and status make you think about Steve. You actually turned around and said, now I want to go help more and more people.
Yeah.
So the question is, what do you want to do now? Now that you've achieved that status, what's the next thing that's on your mind?
That's really the crossroad I'm at in my life right now. There's you know, a lot of things have happened, changes in my life, all I would say for the better. I think a lot of things happen most things happen for reasons. And if you're able to take a lesson or learn something from things that happen, most of the time you're going to learn from mistakes more than doing it right. So you know, you try not to make mistakes, but if you do, you learn from them, and hopefully they're not too bad. Another thing, you know, kind of going back a little bit, what we talked about earlier, but I think people think celebrity or being at the top of the world or top of your business or industry, whatever it is, like that you're a perfect person. Like And some people try to project that they don't do wrong and they're perfect, you know. And for me, I don't project that I'm a perfect person. I don't admit, I'm not like, oh, I'm perfect. Like if I screw up, you know, I'll own it. And that's something that kind of, when you're able to humble yourself a little bit and take some of that pride away and own some of the faults of who you are, like we're not perfect people, that also helps. But I think my next level is, if what I want to do in the doors I think that are opening, I'm really focusing on my alignments of the people I do life with. You know, I think somebody like you, Kris, have been as a great friend, and you're an amazing entrepreneur and a person to be able to do what you do and help people and give, you know, encouragement and positive things out there. There's so many negative things out there. So I always want to focus on being a light. But, you know, I want to take what I've done in business and my profession in being a pro bodybuilder and the lessons I've learned, even life lessons I've learned, and kind of combine that into being able to help people in one way or another, whether it's doing more seminar-based stuff, doing events. That's really kind of on the docket for me, and I'm really focusing on, you know, I don't like to rush things necessarily. I like to think things through more, and just align myself with the right people.
Well, you know, I'm all for that.
Yeah.
I'm gonna help any way I can. Let me ask you, man. Let's say you made this whole attempt. You did all the weightlifting, you ate the food, you didn't eat the food, you almost puked day after day because you know, blending up chickens, you know, whatever you're doing to get there. True story. And bro, we went on a trip together, and the whole joke was I literally watched you. We made this amazing chili and cornbread and all this good food for this hunting trip. And Mr. Kuclo's sitting over here going, no, I got my 3 lunch boxes that I get to eat from. And I was like,
yeah,
oh man, that sucks. That discipline is beautiful. But let me ask you, you do all that stuff.
Yeah.
You never end up ever achieving the success that you've achieved.
Mm-hmm.
What doesn't change?
Whether it's don't achieving or achieving it, the person that I am doesn't change. Like, I'm not going to become a bitter asshole person. Like, oh, I should have. Like, there's just people that if they never won what they thought they should have won, like they hold that resentment and bitterness in forever. And it's like, man, just let that go. Like, you know, focus on what's next in life. And I had a random guy I ran into at a baseball game one time. We were sitting at a bar having a drink with a group of friends that we were all together. And this guy, you know, he was like probably in his 60s. And I'm like, you know, what are you doing now? You know, I'm thinking he's going to say, oh, I'm retired, and all I do is just, you know, hang out and play, you know. And this guy goes, no, man, I'm trying to kill it in new business I'm starting. And he goes, you know, I never top out. Like, I never have the mentality of like, man, I hit my ceiling. And like guys like, okay, and they're in their 30s and they're in their like career in sports, like, you know, this is it for me, and it's all downhill from here. You know, have the mentality of like, man, I'm just going to keep going. I'm going to keep climbing. You know, yeah, we get knocked down. Yeah, we don't necessarily make that jump to the next thing all the time. But if you just keep freaking going, you're gonna get somewhere.
Bro, this is exactly why I brought you on this show. The lesson that I hear, and I relate to it, dude. I don't do what I do because of the results that I get. Do I get results from it? Yes. Are they gratifying? Of course they are.
Yeah.
I do what I do because I can't not do it. I don't know how to be different. I'm exploring. I have this one life to live. I'm exploring who Kris Whitehead is. I don't know any more than you do, but I'm going to keep moving in the direction that my gut tells me. I'm going to keep aligning myself with people that my heart tells me these are the right kind of people to be with. And over time, the collective of us doing that together selflessly is something where we can infect something much bigger than ourselves. And I just want to be able to be a part of something like that. And when I learned that, I started meeting people like you. I started meeting friends. I started actually having a real friend, somebody that I can call and say, I don't need your money. I just need your ear for a minute. And I actually don't need a fucking answer either. I just need you to, like, I trust you to listen to me and not use it against me.
Yeah.
And dude, that to me is the epitome of being an icon of what I want my children to be able to look up to and say, yeah, he's successful. And yeah, you can go shake his hand. And yeah, he will sign the t-shirt, the paper, the book, the whatever. But at the end of the day, if you need a friend, he'll actually respond to you because he's not drinking his own Kool-Aid. And dude, I cannot tell you how much I am grateful to have somebody like you in my life, not because of the shit you've done, but because of the things that you've gone through to become the kind of person that does those things. And at the end, I relate, bro. I'm a little closer to that whole 60-some-year-old mark than you are. I don't want to burn out, bro.
Yeah.
I don't. Robin and I laugh at it all the time. Like, bro, I want to slide into the grave sideways, wheels completely off that thing with a note on my butt.
Yeah. Yeah. And that, and a lot of it starts here and a lot of it starts right here. What you're speaking, like speaking that into existence. Like that's one thing I tell my wife all the time. So I'm going to be chasing you around the house until I'm 80 and 90 years old. Like, don't you worry, just because this isn't because we're newly married, it's because I'm freaking crazy about you. And we have that conversation and I tell her those things. And when you do, it's like you're speaking life into that. You're speaking energy into that. And those things will manifest. They'll come to fruition. And it may not be right the next day or that moment, but you'll see, like planting those seeds and seeing those trees flourish and being fruitful, like it happens. It really does. And I've noticed that's probably one of the biggest things I've noticed in life through time and age of experience, and the things that I've said, you know what, I was really intentional about doing this. And it really did show the result. Because we all want immediate results. And I think we're in a society of like, hey, I want to diet for a week and I want to lose 50 pounds. Like it's not realistic. Or I want to take a pill and I want to be huge. Like it's not realistic. So just being patient with it and being able to see the things develop and then it kind of goes into being grateful for it. Whether it's to the mark you wanted it, I started a business and we didn't quite hit, say, $1 million a year. And that was my goal. And I wanted to hit it. But hey, we're doing good. And I got a great team behind me. And I've got I got a good balance of work and home life. Like, and all that's working together.
For somebody that's been with somebody now for 14 years that started off saying exactly what you're saying to your wife, Robin and I have had dog fights, man. Like, dude, when I say it's like holding a wet cat by the tail, I ain't lying.
Yeah.
But bro, 14 years later, I still speak it into her.
Yeah.
And it's funny. I don't know if I'm fooling her or fooling me, but don't wake me up from this dream, bro, because I don't want anybody else. And I keep pushing that forward. And dude, I see it in your eyes. I know exactly who you are. And I know you're going to do the same thing. And we need to showcase more of that in this world because look, dude, just look at the shirt that's on there. And some people are going to only hear this, so they don't get to see it. But what does your shirt say?
Oh, big letters God, but then it says one nation under God. So it's, I'm not afraid to say, what has been my foundation and rock through life and through storms and what has kind of led me in the blessings of my life and the great things that happen I was just thinking about this the other day. I was like, when amazing things happen and people can't attribute it to anything, like they're like, oh, it's the universe or it's the way the wind blew that day. I was like, dude, that's God working in your life. Like it's not he doesn't come necessarily as a person to your door and hand you this, letter of what to do. When things just kind of happen, it's God a lot making those alignments, opening those doors for you. And I've been, my faith has got me through a lot in life, hard and good times. And I just stay faithful with it.
Well, everybody, we're going to end this episode in just a second with Steve telling you how you can find him. But I want to let you know that he's dropped some nuggets and all I can say is success leaves clues. And I think it's best to end it on the number one clue that Steve just left you. His number one alignment is not with another human. And I think real success comes from understanding who to bend a knee to. So, Steve, I appreciate you being here, brother. I mean, I really appreciate you being here.
No, this is great. Look, we got to do it again.
We will. And we're going to be doing it on some stages soon together too. Yeah, so that's going to be beautiful. If people want to find you, if they want to see your messages, if they want to see dude, you have some amazing friggin' videos of just like, look, if you need to be motivated to go work out, you need to go check out Steve Kuclo on Instagram. it's like the dude's like lifting two people over here and doing squat thrust over here. Where can they find you, bro?
Man, I do a lot of my posting and videos on Instagram. It's just at Steve Kuclo, and then same on Facebook. Is Stephen Kuclo on Facebook, because at one time I got banned from Facebook, I guess, from my views of life and my faith, I guess. So, no, you know, I as much as I'd like to get out there, I'm more of an in-person person. I'm not like, hey, I'm going to take my phone and follow myself around and do selfies all day or videos. Like that's not kind of how I was started my career. But I love interaction with people. You know, I host a few events, the Kuclo Classics. I got one coming up in Wyoming, in Sheridan, Wyoming, or Gillette, Wyoming, coming up. And, you know, I love having those events. I love seeing new competitors, young competitors, and kind of where I started and being able to help, you know, motivate them or inspire them to get on stage and go to the next level. And those are the things that I find really rewarding in life. You know, when somebody comes up and asks me for an autograph, you know, I'm not like, oh God, I got to do an autograph again or take a picture. I'm like, man, I'm honored this person wants to take a picture with me or wants my autograph, or, you know, now it's a little bit more, we got cell phones and that's kind of the thing now. It's we just take a picture I can post online. But I think I'm honored when somebody does that, you know, and I always compliment them like, man, you look great, you know, and they're like, I look great, you look great, you know. So, you know, be complimentary toward people, be positive, and it, you know, positivity attracts each other. Like, you don't see a lot of positive people saying, I want to go hang out with negative people. Like you find those groups, those people that align with your values, like the core values, like you said. You may not talk about it, but you just kind of know they're those things that are underlying, that are really, that stand out in somebody's heart, because it's out of what they speak, you know, out of the heart, the mouth speaks. And if you speak life, if you're not speaking, you know, my pastor says, you know, you can't be negative if you're positive. If you're thinking positive, you're talking positive. It's impossible to be negative. So that's one of my big take homes that I really try to, you know, not only preach but practice myself.
Well, brother, there's not many examples I see that do it any better than you. So again, I'm glad that you came here. We'll do this again. And
my beautiful wife just got home. And she wants to. We'll say hi to Mrs. Kuclo.
Bring her on. I love seeing you all together. You doing videos together. Robin and I do a lot of stuff together online to promote positive relationships. And y'all are just cute as hell.
Well, thank you so much.
You guys have great. I appreciate y'all. Thank you, Steve, for coming on, man.
For sure, man. Thank you so much.
Bye.
I came from the mud. There's dirt on my hands. Strong like a tree. There's roots where I stand.
Hey, friend. If you enjoyed listening to this podcast, please leave a review and subscribe to catch future casts. If you really enjoyed this episode, make sure you share it so others can benefit from it as well. I'll see you in the trenches.